Welcome to the Westeros Media Podcast, Lessons from the Ashes. We are here to tell the Phoenix Rising stories, coming up from the ashes to build businesses, to build personal brands, to parent, coming out, all of it. The stories of those who came from nothing and did great things. We all have a Phoenix Rising story, and I can't wait to hear yours. Join me every week for new podcast episodes. And of course, make sure you follow the show so that you never miss an episode. See you soon. Welcome back to the podcast, Lessons from the Ashes, Westeros Media Podcast, and I'm your host as always, Stephanie Rose. And today we're doing a fun little solo episode before I announce what our theme for season 2 is going to be. So I started this podcast as a way to give back, to be able to show the stories of the people who have gone through it and then gotten past it, to give you encouragement and to give you some excitement. And I started this podcast when I was in a time of my life that was really hard. I was going through some very, very emotional things that really rocked my world. And doing the podcast really helped me kind of work through that, to be able to share other people's stories and my own, and to be able to basically say, hey, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And now in season 2, I am in a part of my life that is a lot more sunshiny. Things feel really good. Things feel like the light at the end of the tunnel is here. Like we have arrived in the sunshine, people, and I'm so freaking grateful for it. So I want to start sharing some stories of the people who've been through things long term. So we've done a lot of the through the immediate ashes and we're on the other side stories in season 1. And in season 2, I really want to start focusing on some stories of people who have gone through the hard stuff, but then now have had a long chunk of time where they have been doing great, and the smaller ups and downs, and then how to continue on once you've done the big scary thing, right? Or if you've done the big scary thing and then the new thing shows up. So I really want to focus more this season on that kind of perspective, on the, okay, so we got through the immediate danger, the thing that we thought was going to ruin us, but now what? How do we continue to grow if we're not in crisis anymore? And that is really what I want to focus on this season. So I hope that you're excited. I have some amazing guests lined up. And if you have been listening to this and you're like, hey, you know what? I have a story I really want to share. Reach out to me on Instagram and send me a DM. I love getting new faces and new voices on the podcast, and it's always just really fun to be able to see so many people's different stories. I think that every single person that I talk to, I gain something from hearing from them, and I know you guys do too. And on that note, if you love the podcast, please send me a DM and tell me. I love hearing about it because podcasting is fun, but it's also kind of one-sided. I don't necessarily hear your feedback, so I would love that. And always make sure that you share this with a friend, and that you hit the follow button. And if you are on Apple, leave me a review. I would love to see it. Okay, so this week's podcast, I want to kind of talk about hindsight and how things really can change for you as you go through these seasons of life that start to kind of shift the way that your world view is. So I now have quite a bit of perspective after going through some pretty major uproots in my life. If you don't know my full story, go back to season 1, episode 1, where I share my full, huge story of going through the worst ashes and rising up from them. So a little recap is basically I grew up quite religious, got married to a man, had 3 kids, and then realized that I was queer and I needed to come out, and had to basically burn down and then reconstruct my entire life. Since then, though, as is the topic of season 2, I have gone through a lot of other things that I thought were also going to bring me down, and then I've had to battle through those and just really, keep reshaping what I think that my life should look like and my business should look like. And I think that this is something, people love telling the big story, right? When I come and I share my story, the big story is my coming out story. But there have been things since then that have been not maybe equally as hard, but have rocked me for sure in really big ways, including, trusting people maybe I shouldn't have, having mentors who didn't end up being healthy, things like that really, I think, threw me off in a big way. And then having to recalibrate myself and be like, okay, so I thought I did the big work, and it turns out the big work is continually happening. I don't think I'll ever reach a point in my life where I'm just like done, done evolving, done learning, done growing. And I don't think I would ever want to be. I think that having the ability to move on and grow and always have a fresh perspective on life is really, really important, because I don't want to stay stagnant. I don't want things to always be the same. I want a big, juicy, extraordinary life, and I don't want to be stuck in something forever. And I think that the more that we can be open to change and continually learning lessons, even if it isn't the quote unquote big lesson that we learned, it's going to be able to shape us into the kind of people who can navigate all sorts of things, right? I know now, looking back, that I can get through anything. If I got through what I got through in the last 3 to 4 years, I can literally do anything. Absolutely. I don't think that there's anything that you could throw at me that I couldn't handle right now. Like, not that that's a challenge to the universe or anything. But I think having some hindsight is really important, because you can look back and be like, okay, so what part of this worked and what part of this didn't? And just be honest with yourself. And I know that in my business and my life, I can look back now and be like, okay, so there was some things when I was starting out that really don't work for me anymore. There are things that I learned from people that I thought, okay, well, if this works for them and they're saying that they made a whole bunch of money on the internet doing it, then I'm going to follow that and I'm going to do it. And now looking back, I realized that A, they weren't being fully truthful, and B, that isn't what works for me. And I don't want to put myself into a box that somebody else made after I worked so hard to get out of the boxes in the first place. I don't want that to be my story. And so I'm creating my own path. And this is really important. I did have a client yesterday who came to me with a blog post that they had found. And they were like, this post is saying that I have to do, like a 20, 30, 60, whatever split of different posts on the internet. Like, do you think that this is true? Should I follow this? And I had to remind them, listen, blog posts are a tool for people to be able to get SEO and bring people onto their posts. It's a way to bring people into their websites. It's a way to generate stuff. Same with even posts on Instagram and TikTok, right? Yes, some people are saying things that are true. Absolutely. I say things that are true all the time, but everybody has a reason for posting, and 99.9% of the time, it's to sell the thing they're selling. So that's why when people are like, should I listen to this? Should I listen to this? And I'm like, well, why don't you look at someone who you actually really think are wonderful, someone you actually respect, somebody who has a life kind of like what you want to have, and why don't you see what they're doing, right? Instead of just taking someone's word for it because they're famous or they say that they make a lot of money, why don't you look at their whole life? And if you don't know it, then dig deeper to find out a little bit more. And then take advice from those people, right? I used to listen to every single free masterclass I could get my hands on. I used to listen to every single podcast I could get my hands on. And there was so much noise going on in my head. I was so confused and I didn't know what to do. And then I was wondering why nothing was working. And now I limit myself like crazy what I listen to. I don't listen to just anybody's crap anymore because I know that I only want to listen to the advice of people who have a life that I actually admire. And I only want to listen to people who are doing things in a way that I'm like, yeah, that matches the way that I want to live my life. I don't want to follow somebody who's 21 and a half and lives on a beach and has no kids. That doesn't work for me, right? I'm not going to take their advice, not because they're giving out bad advice, but that is simply not where I'm at in my life, and I don't want to take advice from somebody like that. I know that where I put my attention, it's the same as eating food, right? You put healthy food in, you get a healthier body. Same with media, the things you consume. The things that I watch now, the things I listen to now is very selective. And I do not sign up for free masterclasses from everybody now. I only listen to people who I actually value their opinion deeply. But this is something I had to learn by over listening and over giving away my power to people who didn't have my best interests in mind. I had to learn this the hard way, which is kind of the theme of the West Rose Media podcast, is learning things the hard way, the fucking around and find out method, which is always my method. And that's actually okay with me. I've come to terms with that's how I learn. That's my life path. I'm gonna have to figure it out for myself. I can't learn it because somebody else did the hard lesson and then take that lesson. And maybe you can, and that would be great. So take some of mine. But I simply can't. I need to find out on my own. So I've done a lot of fucking around and finding out in the last couple of years, my whole life, but especially the last couple of years. And the thing is that I feel so grounded and I feel so happy and so hopeful now. And there's way less noise and there's way less, I guess, self-doubt in my mind now because I'm not just listening to everybody, right? I had a very good conversation with somebody who I actually pay to mentor me now, who I think is very, very smart and very wise and is helping me set up structures in my business so that I can feel safe and happy to continue on what I'm doing. And we had a good conversation about how I was asking, I said, I saw somebody post this thing and I don't understand how this can fit into my life. And she's like, well, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't fit into your life. Not what everybody says fits into your life. And you can still respect someone. You can still think that they're cool and that you are proud of what they're doing and not take their advice. Because if they're not giving advice that's going to work in your scenario, if they're not giving advice that actually pertains to what you're doing, and if you don't value the kind of life that they're living, you can still like them, you can still think they're cool, but don't try to fit their advice onto your life. It just will never fit. It's like putting on a jacket that's too tight in the shoulders. It's just always gonna feel wrong. Oh, I hate that feeling. But that is what I aim to do here. I want to share lots and lots of voices so you can pick and choose what's going to work for you. So you can say, oh yes, I really resonate with that story. That feels like what happened to me and I want to follow that person. And you can pick and choose it, right? I think that people see other people online and they're like, oh, well, they're famous or they have push or they have, influence. So I'm going to have to listen to what they say. You don't actually. And the thing is that I think this year it's really coming to show that a lot of the people who've been spouting themselves as like the leaders in their industry, especially in the coaching business, there's a lot of monarchy fallen this year, and that's cool. I mean, everybody has to face up to their reality at some point, and I can tell you that I work with people all the way from a $5 million net worth to businesses that bring in more than $3 million per year to people who've never made a dollar in their life, all through the spectrum. I work with people who have 50 employees and people who are just solopreneurs. And I can tell you that a lot of the people who say that they're making all of this money online, they're not being truthful. So I just think that if you are going to be forging ahead, listening to somebody, taking their advice, paying for their advice, make sure that they align with you in more ways than just they have something shiny to offer. Dig in a little bit. You can ask questions before you invest. People ask me questions all the time. They want to make sure I'm a good fit, right? You want to choose to work with people and listen to people, even if you never pay them, even if you're just listening to their free content. Even this, if I don't show a life that you think, damn, I kind of wish that I had something like that, or I really hope that I can do some of those things someday, then don't listen to what I say. Turn this shit off. Go do something else. Listen to somebody else. Because I'm giving advice for what I've been through, and that's what everybody is doing. It doesn't matter how much training they have done. They are speaking from their own experience. So I just challenge you to make sure that when you are investing your time and your energy and your emotional capacity, that you're doing it with people that you can trust, and that you do a little bit of homework to make sure that the people that you're listening to are people that you can trust, because there are so many people out there that have beautiful, amazing, inspiring things to say. I know that about 6 months ago, I was feeling really discouraged with like the internet and just like the general mess of the world. And I unfollowed probably like 300 people. And I started following mainly women's sports. So in January, I don't know if you know this, obviously you have if you listen to this, the PWHL, which is the Professional Women's Hockey League, started up. And I am fully obsessed now. But I didn't watch hockey before. Now I do because women are playing. And I just think it's so fucking cool, and they're so strong and they're so amazing. And I'm finding out more about each of their personalities and like their families. And there's one goalie on the Ottawa team named Emerald Smashmeyer, which is like, she just has the coolest name in the world, but Goose like just loves her. And we've been like following her story, and it's really cool to see all these inspiring people doing something completely different than what I've seen. Because for a while there, all I was seeing was this tiny little circle of people. And I was like, oh, because, I've been removed from one person's circle, then this is like all there is. Everybody's in the circle and I'm the only one left out. And I was feeling very, very emotional and sad about it. And then I was like, well, actually the world is pretty dang huge. And now I've broadened my horizons, and I listen to and watch people who are like making huge, cool moves in the world and like changing the world and changing the way that people see the world. And I just feel so much better, like everywhere in my life because of it. So just like we were talking about earlier, what you put in is what affects you, right? Like with food, you eat healthy, awesome food and you move your body and then you feel better, right? If you watch stuff 24/7 that's so depressing or makes you feel bad, or like even people who are like, maybe they're trying to call you out in a nice way, but it just makes you feel like crap, just unfollow that stuff. Just walk away from it because it's not serving you, and it's certainly not going to help you become better. So these are the things I want to share with you today, because I know how important it is to be able to surround yourself with people who are going to lift you up no matter what. Like people who are genuinely cheerleaders for you and how amazing you're doing. And I have that now. And I'm just absolutely tickled about it. And I can't wait to share some of the guests we're going to have this season on the podcast. And I really, really, really hope that you stick around. So please let me know what you thought of this episode. Send me a DM, share it with a friend. Let me know who you're following, who inspires the shit out of you, and maybe I can get them on the podcast. Wouldn't that be cool? Okay, have a beautiful day. I hope that you can see the world from a beautiful perspective and know that you are loved and that you are worthy of all the beautiful things in the world, and that it's okay to want to go after your dreams. And I'm here to... Hey, I'm Stephanie Rose, and I am the host of the West Rose Media podcast, Lessons from the Ashes. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and on Threads and on TikTok and all the places. My handle is @WestRoseMedia. Check out my website too. There are so many resources for people just like you, people who are climbing out of the ashes, ready to make a new life. I got you, babe. Make sure you follow along. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. That way you never miss an episode, and I can keep doing the magic. I can't wait to keep going. Let's get into it.